All right, we are just a couple of minutes away from our second game of the day. This time, the NA1 semifinals between ZEEK and DZ. These teams have been on a 3-win streak apiece. So whoever wins this game is going to be breaking the other one's win streak, not letting them get to 4. Back to another best of 11. Right now, it looks like we have one member from DZ. ZEEK appears to have a full team already. They are allotted up to 15 minutes, I believe, after the normal start time, which would be in about 1 minute. So we'll see if they're able to get everybody in here for this game. Now, they haven't picked their map bans yet. However, if neither team decides to ban mines, that will be our first game played, with ZEEK being the home team. Looks like we are starting to get a few more people in here for DZ. Hopefully they are able to field a full 7, though they can choose to play down if need be. And now we're just waiting for some communication to happen so we can figure out exactly what they're going to ban and what the plan is. DZ slowly settling in here with 3 people. But they still have plenty of time to get the rest of that team filled up. All right, looks like a little bit over half of the team of DZ is here now. Just waiting on those final 3. Then I believe Sin will get us sorted into our desired areas. And there is no promises I will be able to film this entire game, as I am on call this weekend and have already gotten a couple calls. So if something does come up, hopefully it does not, knock on wood, I will have to leave a little bit early, unfortunately, but we'll be able to cover at least part of the game. But based on a few text messages I'm seeing, it's very possible that I may get a call. So just keep that in mind for potentially a short stream. Though I will try everything I can to not make that happen. Looks like we're up to 5 on the side of DZ. ZEEK getting a couple more people in here. Growing ever closer to that first round, which again will be played on mines if neither team decides to ban it. Looks like the current lineup of maps before bans will be Mines, Malinovka, Arctic Region, Muravanka, Himmelsdorf, Prokhorovka, and then Sand River. And tiebreaker will be decided when needed. All right, they've still got plenty of time left and only a few more people here to go. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the last couple of games that we've covered. Though I am missing my second half here. He's unfortunately a little bit busy today, so I've been having to cover solo, but we'll be back again in future games, which we may be able to offer a little bit something extra. We are working on a double POV system at the moment, and may be able to provide 2 perspectives that can be swapped back and forth. Something that I'm not sure has been done before on War Console. So super excited for that. Super excited to see if that works out. If we can get it established correctly and nice and tested. But until then, 1 POV we'll have to do. Still no word from either team on a tank ban or a map ban. But I'm sure that communication will start coming through any moment now once they finish filtering in their players, which it looks like DZ is almost done doing. I'm super excited to see how this game goes. We've seen DZ play in the past. We saw them play Legion, and they played pretty well, sending them, I believe, to a 4-1 defeat. Legion only able to take 1 game, I believe, on Muravanka. Now we're going to see if ZEEK is able to stack up a little better than Legion did just a couple of weeks ago and take this past the semifinals. Still looks like we are 1 person down on the side of DZ. ZEEK ready to rock and roll. Just need to sort the teams out and get DZ that last player. They should be picking map and tank bans pretty soon if they opt to ban anything. We've seen a couple teams in the past, like V2 for example, where they decided that they did not want to ban anything. Played exactly how it was. So it's very possible we may see that again today. All right, it looks like communication is being established between the 2 teams now in the match chat, and we are going to get some answers really soon now. Though DZ is still down 1, I believe they have the final one coming. And then our map will be thrown up. Teams are being situated. ZEEK will be playing defense on the first round, potentially on mines. Getting a little bit worried for DZ here. They may not be able to pull a 7th. They may be playing this 6v7 unless ZEEK opts to play it 6v6. I've seen a couple of teams do that in the past as well. Just some good sportsmanship there. However, there's nothing against the rules saying they can't play it 7v6. And it looks like on the side of Sin, Sin has said on the side of ZEEK, they're going to ban Muro. So we will not be seeing Muravanka this game. Unlike what we did earlier in the RNGD game. Still no bans from the side of DZ. But I will go ahead and throw these maps up for everyone to see. Even though we potentially have one more ban coming up. Just want to give a brief thank you to every team that's competed in Calamity this season. We've seen some amazing games, some really close games, some really good games out of a couple of teams that I personally haven't seen a lot streamed in the past. So always good to see those new teams come in and perform better than expected. But now we are dealing with two, I would say, well, at least one very well-established team. We've seen ZEEK in a couple other competitions. They've always played strong. A lot of very familiar names on the ZEEK side. One of the most popular being 2HM2 for You, aka Pokemon Man, according to, I believe, Tubbins. Very, very popular fella there. And I see some very familiar names on the side of DZ as well. Looks like they have Hull Down and Dark Blizzard and Illusion as well. Still no map ban or tank ban from the side of DZ. Still waiting on that 7 to appear as well. Though we are getting very close to this game starting. Looks like DZ is going to be banning Arctic Region. So we're going to be missing Arctic Region, which is another map that we saw very recently. So now our full map pool is going to be Mines, Malinovka, Himmelsdorf, Prokhorovka, and Sand River. What a lineup we've got today. Now, we haven't seen much Mines gameplay on this channel specifically. However, I know a lot of Mines games have been covered by other streamers in this tournament. But every team has a different way of playing it. There are fairly standard moves, but we have seen that variety is possible and will happen. There's really no telling what exactly DZ is going to try to do on offense. It looks like they have got their 7th. Tank bans are coming through. On the side of ZEEK, we've got a ban on the 277. I don't think I've seen that one yet. I don't think I've seen a 277 ban yet. Very interesting pick. Still no ban from DZ, though I think they're about to put one down. Then we will get just picking. Okay, it looks like DZ is going to be banning the CS63. That is a tank that we have seen almost every round in this competition. So that's going to be a very interesting ban. We're going to see probably a lot more Leo 1s, Batchets, and Marats come out now that that CS is off the table. Looks like they just need to throw up the first map being Mines, and then we'll get these tanks picked up. Again, these two teams are on a 3-win streak apiece. So whoever wins this game will put an end to someone's. I'm very excited to see how this is going to play out. I also want to give a brief thank you to everyone who's following the channel, turning those notifications on, making sure to come out and support all these wonderful teams, taking the time to play for us. Well, all the info is in. All the people are in the game. We have mines up. And it is time to start picking tanks for round one. We've seen a lot of one-line pushes from other teams on mines. Curious to see if we're going to see that again today. It can be a very costly or very advantageous maneuver. Really depends on how much punish you get trying to cross that G1 section. But we have seen it go both ways. Looks like, yeah, we have a IS-5 from a random here. That'd probably be an interesting pick on this map. I don't think that'd be my favorite for sure out of all the tier 8s, but good on that guy for coming in for a second. But there's been no indication that they are waiting on additional players, so I do believe this is going to be the lineup for DZ during this first round. So now we are just waiting for those tanks to get picked. All right, and it has started. We've got our first tank put up on the board from DZ, being a Chieftain Mark 6. Pretty common tank for this map. Great DPM, decent armor, in the right position, very deadly. We should start seeing the rest of these teams start trickling in those tanks. And you should be able to get a very quick picture as to what exactly DZ might be doing. Coming in up on 14 minutes after default game time. So they will be playing this round any moment now. Leaky Shelf picking up an IS-4. Good pick as well. Great armor on that. Not sure if that was a mistake from Dark Blizzard, but that would be an interesting pick. Something that we have not seen before, which seems to be the trend after these last couple of games. You always love to see that. Okay, instead choosing an Object 705. There's also kind of an interesting tank there. Good alpha, good armor, in the right position, very dangerous. And on the side of ZEEK, we've got a Leopard 1 and a Marat coming out, along with 2 IS-7 so far. Looks like they've also thrown up a Chieftain Mark 6. Now, because of that CS63 ban, it is very likely that we're going to see a lot of Marats and a lot of Leopard 1s in its place. I know the CS63 has been a pretty popular pick, especially in the last couple of games that we've covered. We've seen at least 1 to 2 on almost every map, besides maybe Himmelsdorf. That was a very detrimental ban. I think the most popular that we have are the Stritzvon and the Marat out of all the games that I've seen. The CS63 is a very strong ban if you do not want that opponent using that speed and that decent gun to get a good position against you. Looks like we are 1 tank away on the side of ZEEK, 3 tanks away on the side of DZ. Before we're going to get this first round started. Again, ZEEK will be on the side of defense, and DZ will be attacking. And these next 3 tanks are going to be the deciding factor on if DZ is going to make a one-line push. So far, very heavy tanks. Nothing capable of making that push. We will see what they opt in to do. All right, we've got a 5th tank up, 6th tank up for the side of DZ. Looks like they're going extremely heavy. 2 Object 140s. What a pick. What a pick. I love the Object 140 picks. That's something you do not see every day on mines. I actually really enjoy that little bit of a changeup. Said no to the CS63, but said yes to the Object 140. That tank does have a good DPM on it as well. And a little bit of a trolley turret, so I could see why. Maybe a little bit beneficial here. It's kind of like a med heavy. Way more on the medium side, but very interesting pick. And it looks like we do also have all of our tanks picked up on the side of ZEEK, and we're going to get into round number 1 on mines. On the side of ZEEK, we've got a Chieftain Mark 6, a Super Conqueror, 2 IS-7s, a Marat, and 2 Leopard 1s. On the side of DZ, we've got a Chieftain Mark 6, a T110E5, an Object 705A, an IS-4, 2 Object 140s, and a T110E4. Very curious what DZ is going to do with those 140s. We're going to find out any second now. DZ going for the heavy push through mid. Well, that's a quick push through mid right there. I like that. 140's getting up on the hill early. Getting punished, though. Good hits from the IS-7, putting that 140 down to 1,006 hit points. Essentially wiping out half of his HP. That's what you like to see. DZ getting into some stable positions now. Those 140s able to get on hill with decent punish onto Illusion, but he is still alive and still does have 1,000 hit points. DS Maze overlooking now, trying to get some spots into the back, which he does not. Though he is aware that there is probably a tank there. The IS-4 and Object 705A setting up to play off of A-cap. While 2 HM02 for you is playing on the corner. Looks like Sin is going to rotate over to Attempted Wolf. Maybe try to make some more aggressive maneuvers on this side. Now that they're aware that most of their tanks are probably towards mid. So he's going to try to get some good shots in there. There was a blind fire coming in off the hill. Good attempt. Good to get those focus fires and those blind fires in. 2 very important things. ZEEK trying to get something going here in mid, but really tough to do with that Chieftain and E5 hold him down with Object 140s on the side. Attempted Wolf is going to make a forward push here to try to get a better angle on some of these tanks because he is uncontested down the 1, 2, 3. Good hit on the E4 there. He's completely blind and still gets shot. I believe that was from the Super Conqueror who hit that right into his engine deck, I believe. What a wonderful hit. 2 heavies are stacking up on the 0. They're probably going to make a little bit of an aggressive push here soon. It looks like they're creeping forwards. Going to try to get to that rock on A perchance. The Marat, played by Sin on the ZEEK side, is getting up behind the E5. He's going to put in good punish. Good first shot ammo rack onto the E5. Now one into the Chieftain, completely turning their heads. Ooh, and a good ammo rack into Shifty as well. Wow, double. Good shot from the medium plated E1 onto the Chieftain Mark 6. Got him down to under half hit points. Looks like DZ is getting aggressive on the A-cap. Meanwhile, there's a big push out of ZEEK into mid. Going to try to clean up these 140s. And now the side of DZ, this 140 is going to have to try to get out, but he does get stuck. And Shifty getting hit from both sides due to this ZEEK push from behind. Now I've got them trapped into mid. Too many of the tanks out of the fight. ZEEK has a major advantage, and they're taking advantage of it as quick as they can. Looks like Stewie Bulb is going to be the next victim to go down here with a big ram coming out of the IS-7. Down to a 2 hit. Maze down to a 3. And there goes Maze and Stewie. So now Hill is completely taken over. Pokemon Man getting good shots onto Hull Down, who's playing the B cap. And now ZEEK with a dominant map control. DZ kind of in a pit here. Not much they can do. Hull Down's going to go down. Leaky Shelf will be next. And Dark Blizzard will be the cleanup. A little bit of a suicide play there by Super. Love to see that. Really wanted that kill. I respect it. They have enough tanks. They can play for it. And a good first round going to ZEEK. Let's pull up that scoreboard real quick. On the side of ZEEK, we've got Sin in the Marat. 1 kill, 2,959 damage. We've got the Killing Tank in a Leopard 1. 1 kill, 2,901 damage. We've got Super in the Chieftain Mark 6, 1 kill, 2,717 damage. Pokemon Man in the IS-7, 1 kill, 2,619 damage. Attempted Wolf in the Leopard 1, 2 kills, 2,335 damage. Totally Awesome in the IS-7, 1 kill, 1,647 damage. And Red Dog in the Super Conqueror, 0 kills, 472 damage. On the side of DZ, we've got Dark Blizzard in the T110E4, 0 kills, 2,522 damage. Leaky Shelf in the IS-4, 1 kill, 2,019 damage. TS Maze in the Object 140, 0 kills, 1,322 damage. Stewie Bulb in the E5, 0 kills, 808 damage. Illusion in the Object 140, 0 kills, 574 damage. Hull Down in the Object 705A with 0 kills and 510 damage. And Shifty in the Chieftain Mark 6 with 466 damage and no kills. All right, let's head on over back to the team picker as we get ready to head on into round number 2. I did realize my audio isn't coming through, so I'm going to fix that real fast. Not sure why it defaults this way, but it always does. Now we've got audio. Great first game from ZEEK. Good play there going down the 1-2 line, understanding that all their tanks are playing mid and in the 8-9-0 area. Able to get those mediums into the back, make the push onto Hill, take the advantage. And after that, it was game over for DZ. Stuck on the cap. Looks like we are getting some tanks picked up for round number 2 here, this time with DZ on defense and ZEEK attacking. ZEEK choosing to take a Grill 15 on attack instead of an E4. And also, DZ choosing to take a Mouse for defense, probably going to play towards the cap we saw them take earlier. Just try to contest as much as possible. Definitely a good bit of hit points on that tank. Can be advantageous when a push comes out, or they need to sit and use that armor and delay as long as possible. Looks like ZEEK is almost completely picked up already. Got 6 out of 7. Choosing a fairly light lineup compared to what we saw DZ do on the side. Running a Batchet 25T, Leopard 1, Grill 15, and Rheinmetall. So they will potentially be at a significant hit point advantage. However, that doesn't mean that DZ is going to get the win immediately. Hit points don't always mean it. Positioning and guns in the game are 2 of the most important features. Hopefully DZ will rethink their strategy. Lock up those side pushes a little bit. We'll get a nice game. It looks like DZ is going to continue on their heavy streak here, which does make sense. Looks like we do have the full lineup from the ZEEK side here. I would say that's a pretty fairly standard. Kind of on the light side. Maybe going to play that 1-2 area. That light tank is going to offer a lot of mobility and a lot of vision on a small map like Mines. DZ looking to take a Oh, they picked a CS63. I don't think they realized that has been banned by their team. I think it was actually DZ that did ban that tank. Someone's going to have to tell them. Hopefully they realize, and ZEEK says something about that before they start this game. Because that is one of the 2 tanks that have been banned by these teams. And I believe it was DZ that actually banned that tank to begin with. A little bit of a miscommunication there. And they are going to start it up with that banned tank. So hopefully ZEEK's going to notice that. But on the side of DZ, just in case, we've got a Super Conqueror, a Mouse, an IS-7, an IS-4, a CS-63, the banned tank in question, an Object 140, and an AAT-60. On the side of ZEEK, we have a Chieftain Mark 6, a T110E5, an IS-4, a Batchet 25T, a Leopard 1, a Rheinmetall, and a Grill 15. I think they are actually going to play it. Potentially, it looks like Sin's not moving. Might be communicating. Looks like they are going to stop. They have realized that there's a CS-63 on that enemy team. We're going to run this one back. Gonna head right back to garage here, back to team selector. That's a banned tank. We're gonna try this one more time, I believe. Things like that do happen in the heat of battle. DZ not realizing that the tank has been banned yet. So they are all still in battle. Just waiting for them to realize, probably once they spot the side of ZEEK sitting in spawn, that something is awry. Though I do believe we will be replaying this one again. DZ must be playing it pretty safe. Have not realized that those tanks are not moving on the side of ZEEK yet. But once they do, we will get tanks reselected and get this thing going. Looks like Sin has reached out to hold down the representative on the DZ side, letting him know. So any second now, we should see them coming back into the lobby, and there they go. Now tanks will quickly be repicked. And we will run this one more time. Shouldn't take any time at all. All they got to do is throw that CS out of there. We'll be heading on to the next round. All right, they've replaced the CS with an object, and he's gone. He has accidentally backed out of the lobby, I do believe. But it looked like he picked a 430U there, maybe by mistake. Maybe on purpose, we'll see. And no, he keeps it. He does keep the Object 430U. Another interesting pick for this map. We should be heading on into game number 2. Looks like we have no rule violations or ban violations this time, so we are going to play this one out. All right, on the side of DZ, we've got a Super Conqueror, a Mouse, an IS-7, an IS-4, an Object 140, an Object 430U, and an AAT-60. On the side of ZEEK, we've got a Chieftain Mark 6, a T110E5, an IS-4, a Batchet 25T, a Leopard 1, a Rheinmetall, and a Grill 15. Weren't quite able to see what ZEEK was going to do there during that last round. However, looks like they are going to be playing pretty aggressive on the 1-2-3 line, pinging up the J2 square. I believe that may be from DZ, though. DZ sending quite a few tanks over there as well. Killing Tank being very aggressive in that Leopard. Does get a spot on Shifty. Good punish there on him. Does get a spot on the AAT-60. Good punish on Shifty. Down to a one-shot already. I think he's going down, and he does. Already a major, major advantage on the side of ZEEK. And have even the hit points up, though down significant portion on the start just due to running lighter tanks. Sin playing the hill here, getting good shots in. A few of these tanks as well. Going to be able to get good vision on some of these tanks playing the back as well. Possibly on TS Maze. Though he is getting proximity spotted by Illusion. Now we can see these tanks for ZEEK playing kind of on the hillside of the 3-line now. Possibly going to rotate up here and make a play there. Dark Blizzard kind of stuck where he is. Stewie Bulb trying to get a few blind fires on some of the tanks possibly sitting on the 1 line. Same with TS Maze. Unfortunately, no one there. They've all rotated. Grill 15 going to make a little bit of a play here towards the A-cap. But Leaky Shelf playing very forward on that. Mouse does get spotted. Looks like Zeke's going to be playing the hill pretty heavy here. And they are up a tank, which may benefit them severely in a push. Dark Blizzard still kind of stuck out on his own. Leaky Shelf does get spotted, misses his shot on the Grill 15. And he's kind of in a rough position because now they have full hill control. He's kind of stuck on both sides. Grill 15 on one. Rhymotol Chieftain and Leopard 1 on the other. Got to be really careful how he plays that rock to not get punished. They are looking directly at him. Not much happening on the 1 line at the moment. Shot coming in from TS Maze on the Rhymotol. Not able to connect. Looks like he's trying to get any kind of vision. Still spotting up Leaky Shelf. Grill's going to have an unfortunate bounce. And Leaky Shelf going to get a good shot into the Grill 15 there in return. Sin's going to take a little bit of damage from Stewie Bulb and the Super, who peeks around the rock. Killing Chain trying to get a blind fire in there, I do believe. Got a real slow game forming now. Down 3 minutes into the game. Still, ZEEK seems to be in a fairly advantageous position. However, they are significantly down on hit points just due to DZ having so many, even losing that tank. Still have a lot to play with. Stewie Bulb not able to connect. And none of the blind fires being able to connect on the AAT-60 either. We're just waiting for somebody here to make a move. Looks like they are pinging some things up. Leaky Shelf is going to take a hit. Not able to get one back in on the Grill 15. Stewie Bulb still holding those tanks on the hill down, so they're not able to get a good, clean shot on the Leaky Shelf. Good coverage there from him. Big hit into the mouse from the Grill 15 there. However, big returning fire into Sin. Playing the Rhymotol on the hill. But that was a major, major hit into the mouse. Good shot from the Grill 15 there. Now they're still trying to punish Leaky Shelf. Big hit and return on the Grill 15. Grill 15 down to half HP. Gonna have to be careful what he does with those hit points from now on. Kind of stuck there. Tempted Wolf gonna be rotating out on the side of ZEEK. Down the 2-3 line. Possibly going to meet up with his teammates and try to make a play on the A-cap. Super does get lit. Unfortunate bounce from Super on the IS-4. Does not get hit in return that time. Big hit from the Super onto Killing Tank, playing the Leopard 1. Putting him down to a one-shot thanks to Leaky Shelf's great hit onto the Killing Tank. Putting him down to 303 hit points. Now we're seeing some aggressive plays from ZEEK here. Putting that E5 over towards the Grill 15 along with Attempted Wolf, who has a full magazine loaded. Does get spotted by the mouse, unfortunately. Looks like Totally Awesome is going to rotate back out. Try to find a new position. Realized that wasn't a great spot for him. Attempted wolf, not able to connect there on the IS-4. Does get one shot in return. With a fairly hefty roll. Killing tank still down to a 1 on the hill. Very dangerous position for him to be in. He's not able to peek anymore without the risk of getting sent back to the garage. '17 roll from the Grill 15 on the leaky shelf. It looks like Totally Awesome now playing up against the mouse. However, he is going to have a rough time trying to get any peeks going with that super covering that mouse right there. He does take one right to the upper plate along with the mouse getting a pin as well. It's going to be a rough trade for Totally Awesome. Another one from the super. Really bad position for Totally Awesome to be in with that coverage. Totally Awesome going to potentially go down here. However, they do miss and the mouse does bounce. Good shot from Killing Tank onto Leaky Shelf. But Leaky Shelf able to clean up Totally Awesome. Super able to get good hits into the Bat Chat. Bat Chat is going to try to clean up the IS-4. However, the Bat Chat is not able to pin the IS-4 and bounces a significant number of his shells off of that lower plate, I believe. Wow, what a lucky game for Leaky Shelf there. Able to hold on for a significantly long time. Another good shot from Sin into TS Maze in the back there. Leaky Shelf down to a 1. Good play from Killing Tank there to get those shots in on Leaky without throwing away his life. Looks like the Bat Chat is going to rotate out, try to get something else going off the side here. Not able to get too much done on the front of that IS-4. So he's going to try to get a better position. Mouse playing a little bit aggressive towards the A-cap, trying to clean up that grill. Does take a big hit from the grill, but is able to put him down. This game is looking better and better for the side of DZ with those unfortunate losses over towards the A-cap for ZEEK. They do have two very healthy heavies now rotating towards the A side. Going to be playing towards that mouse, but that Super Conqueror, that IS-4 is still there. Mouse looking to rotate. And here come the two heavies from the ZEEK side right now. Looks like they are going to opt in to push up pretty far. Up to Totally Awesome's position. However, that super is still there. He does get lit though, and he is looking the other way. Good hit from the Chieftain Mark 6, played by Red Dog, onto Stewie Bulb in the Super Conqueror. Leaky Chef still hiding, able to get a good hit on the IS-4. He does get lit for it though. Looks like Attempted Wolf has gone down to the AAT-60. And now it looks like Sin has gone down to TS Maze in the 140. Pokemon Man in a really unfortunate situation, surrounded by tanks from DZ. He goes down. Red Dog and the Killing Tank being the last two alive. Red Dog getting the finish on Leaky Shelf, but is in a very, very poor situation. Here come the tanks from DZ. Mouse looking to finish, possibly. May go to the super. It looks like it will. Now we just have the Killing Tank up on hill. Last one alive. Is he able to clean up the Super Conqueror? Looks like he's opting not to go for that shot. Instead going to rotate back, but TS Maze in the 140 is right on his tail. And is going to cut him off with that final blow. We have even the score. Let's head over to the scoreboard and see who did what. On the side of ZEEK, we've got Super in the Grill 15, 0 kills, 3,106 damage. The Killing Tank in the Leopard 1 kill, 2,697 damage. Red Dog in the Chieftain Mark 6, 1 kill, 1,067 damage. Attempted Wolf in the Batchet 25T, 0 kills, 779 damage. Totally Awesome in the T110E5, 0 kills, 464 damage. We've got Sin in the Rheinmetall Panzerwagen, 0 kills, 369 damage. And Pokemon Man in the IS-4, 0 kills and 0 damage. On the side of DZ, we've got Stewie Bulb in the Super Conqueror with an amazing game. 1 kill, 5,713 damage. Hold Down in the Mouse, 1 kill, 2,718 damage. Leaky Shelf in the IS-4, 2,522 damage. Dark Blizzard in the AAT-60, 1 kill, 1,698 damage. TS Maze in the Object 140, 2 kills, 940 damage. Illusion in the IS-7, 1 kill, 849 damage. And Shifty in the Object 430U, who got caught out very early in the game, and that a really unfortunate forward aggressive play from ZEEK with 0 kills, 0 damage. I am curious to see how much exactly Leaky Shelf blocked. 5,030 damage. So he was able to block a lot of shells from the Batchet there and delay that team from making any real moves on A. Good job from him and the Super Conqueror in tandem for making that a really difficult round for ZEEK. Head on back over to the team picker. This time going to be playing our first round on Malinovka with DZ on defense. We've seen a lot of different plays come out on this map. We've seen a couple of really quick K-line pushes. We've also seen a lot of A-line pushes and a little bit of everything in between. Even seen heavies play towards that F5 region. So I am curious what exactly this team is going to opt in to do. Looks like there is going to be a T100 from ZEEK. I really like that they did pick a light tank. We've seen a couple of teams not pick a light tank on this map, and it can be costly. You need that information. It's a very large map, plenty of bushes, and positioning without that information, extremely difficult. It's a very good pick from Pokemon Man there. Looks like we are seeing that Marat come out, another very popular pick. Very devastating clip on that thing. Definitely going to be more popular this game due to that CS63 ban that we saw DZ pull out earlier. Going to prevent a lot of very quick maneuver plays with those, though they can be replaced by Leopards and Marats and whatnot. So far, very even games. Round 1 being very dominant by ZEEK. Round 2 and in a DZ win, tying it up to 1-1. I will say that in the beginning there, ZEEK did look like they were at a significant advantage, catching that 430U off guard, getting a full tank kill for free. But DZ able to use that positioning to their advantage, use that mouse, use that Super Conqueror, and put some real punish on that A-cap. Brought it back with relative ease. Looks like DZ is going to start picking up some tanks here. First one being a Chieftain Mark 6, another great pick on this map. Beautiful DPM, good gun depression, decent armor. Very solid, popular pick. ZEEK going to pull out a Leopard 1 as well. Another amazing tank, good DPM, great pin, great shell velocity. And ZEEK also picking up a Grill 15. Side of DZ pulling up an IS-7 and a Valor going pretty heavy, which doesn't make sense. They are playing defense, with ZEEK again going on the lighter side. And it looks like ZEEK has finished out their tank picks, just waiting on DZ to pick up those last 4. Looks like after that first game, they really thought about exactly what they wanted to do with their positioning. It did pay off. Though unfortunate for that 430U, they were still able to turn it around. DZ continuing their trend of playing really heavy, high on hit points. Curious to see if they are going to play a light tank. Because like I said, we have seen a couple of teams not pull one of those out. And I'm getting a little bit worried that they're actually not going to. And in a second, use the Batchet 25T as one. We've seen that a lot on steps, where a light tank is a very common, useful pick. The team's opting to choose a Batchet 25T over it. Though it does have decent spotting and camo, not quite a direct replacement for the light tank. And it is true, DZ opting to not pick a light tank for this round, going extremely heavy. Gonna try to wade those hit points in. Let's see how this goes for him. Heading on into game number 3 any second now. We'll see how this turns out. All right, here comes game number 3. Game 1 on Malinovka. On the side of DZ, we've got a Chieftain Mark 6, a Valor, 2 IS-7s, a Batchet 25T, and 2 Object 140s. On the side of ZEEK, we've got a Chieftain Mark 6, an IS-7, a Marat, 2 Leopard 1s, a T100 LT, and a Grill 15. Again, a significant hit point advantage on the side of DZ just due to their significantly heavier lineup and lack of a light tank, which I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of. But we'll see how it does pay off for them. Looks like ZEEK is going to be playing hillside towards B. And DZ going to be splitting basically down the middle evenly with 2 140s and an IS-7 going down the K line. A Batchet 25T, a Valor, an IS-7 and a Chieftain going to hill. Now, this is a pretty hefty advantage on the northern side of the map for ZEEK here. Hopefully DZ doesn't get too aggressive and make that a significant disadvantage on their side. TS Mays getting aggressive over towards Pokemon Man. Does get lit for it. They are going to be really far out of the fight. If they do all 3 get lit, I think ZEEK's going to understand they have the advantage. Probably going to try to take advantage of that as quick as they can. They're going to make that maneuver. Hold down, getting really high up there now. Which he's going to run into 2 ugly Leopard 1s any second. Tempted Wolf flying off down to the lower part of the hill. And the Killing Tank taking 1 shot of damage in return. Looks like the 3 tanks playing the K-line for DZ are not going to play it aggressive anymore. So they're going to stay back, maybe because they realize they need to rotate as more and more tanks on the northern side of the map get lit up for ZEEK. All tanks over here for DZ now lit. But will ZEEK realize that's all there is? Leaky Shelf going for the rotation into the other 3 tanks playing on the K-line. He's now going to be out of the fight of the hill. Looks like Hold Down's going to start taking punish, but does get one in return to the Chieftain Mark 6. Another one from the other Chieftain Mark 6 on the side of DZ going into Bazzy. Putting him down to 1,400 hit points. So far, still a significant HP advantage on the side of DZ due to those tanks. And DZ choosing to keep their tanks sitting at K3. Just in case. Glare playing aggressive in the IS-7. Coming up on the side of Hold Down. Trying to draw some attention away. Get Hold Down look in 2 directions so the Chieftain can make the punish. Though Hold Down so far doing a great job of concealing those hit points. Looks like Leaky Shelf is going to make a play through field. However, he is going to run into that light tank. Probably will get lit towards that window if he isn't careful peeking. TS Mays going for the rotation, going to support those other tanks on the B cap. May play it a little bit further back, though. Trying to get a shot on Glare there. Not quite able to make it connect from the Object 140. Big hit on the Dark Blizzard from the Killing Tank, I believe. So far, a very slow game. Leaky Shelf getting spotted in the window by the T100 LT sitting in the bush at E4. Good reset there by Hold Down on the DYLT Glare. Does get good punish for it. Taking quite a few rounds. Looks like maybe an HE shell came in. Another big hit into Glare there. Hold Down getting permatracked right in front of that Chieftain and the IS-7 with support from the back. Gets tracked again and goes down to a Tempted Wolf. Really unfortunate couple of tracks there, holding him out where he didn't want to be after getting that reset. The push is being made by DZ, able to get the Grill 15 out. Leaky Shelf getting some punish in return. Looks like the Object 140 and IS-7 are going to be trying to push up on this side. However, he does get spotted by the T100 LT. Is now getting hit hard by the Killing Tank and Sin, who has just dumped his entire mag, I do believe, into Illusion. Illusion does get unspotted. Stewie Bulb is still spotted. Illusion gets respotted one more time. Possibly going to take another big hit here. Looks like Maze is being aggressive, going to try to make some plays on Sin here, get him out of the game. The Murat is about to be loaded. And if Maze is not careful, he's going to take a couple of hits in return. But if he plays it safe, he's going to be able to get Sin out of the game. DZ still in a significant hit point advantage. Leaky Shelf is bleeding a little bit, though. Pokemon Man just trying to hold these two tanks back as long as he can on the one line. Give his team as much of an advantage on the northern side as he can. Good shot coming into Shifty from Bazzi, I believe. Still a fairly even game. The Killing Tank will go down. Good finish there. Now Pokemon Man kind of trapped if the Object 140 gets a little bit aggressive and spots him on his way out. This could be bad for him. 55 seconds left on the cap. Plenty of time. Don't have to worry about a reset at the moment. Here comes Pokemon Man running straight into TS Maze. He does get lit for it. Good shots there from the side of DZ. Not missing a single one on the T100 LT. Does get finished by TS Maze using that DPM on that 140. Love to see that tank. Shifty is taking punish, but still the advantage on the side of DZ. Attempted Wolf looking for any kind of shots he can get on these final two heavies remaining on the zero line for DZ. Not quite able to get anything going. The push is being made by Glare. Glare going down to a one-shot. Make it cleaned up here by Dark Blizzard. It looks like he will. Here comes the push from Bazzi. Does get ammo racked. Attempted Wolf goes down to a one-shot. Now it is a 5v2 in DZ's favor. Bazzi goes down to a 1. Looks like he's going to be finished off by the Valor. And we've got a DZ win. Let's head on over to the scoreboard. On the side of Zeke, we've got the Killing Tank in the Leopard 1 with 0 kills, 2,997 damage. Attempted Wolf in the Leopard 1, 2 kills, 2,447 damage. Sin in the Murat with 0 kills, 1,988 damage. Bazzi in the Chieftain Mark 6, 0 kills and 1,220 damage. Super in the Grill 15, 0 kills, 594 damage. 2 HM02 for you, aka Pokemon Man in the T100 LT, 0 kills, 574 damage. And DYLT Glare in the IS-7, plenty of cap points, but 0 kills and 468 damage. On the side of DZ, we've got the Chieftain Mark 6. Played by Shifty, 0 kills, 2,995 damage. TS Maze in the Object 140, 3 kills, 2,295 damage. Hold Down in the IS-7, 0 kills, 1,852 damage. Dark Blizzard in the Valor, 2 kills, 1,833 damage. Stewie Bulb in the IS-7, 2 kills, 1,703 damage. Leaky Shelf, the Batchet 25T, 0 kills, 1,577 damage. And Illusion in the Object 140 with 0 kills and 1,545 damage. Let's head on back to the team picker as we get ready to go on into round number 4, second round of Malinovka with Zeke on defense. I will say that was a pretty fairly even game down to the wire. Zeke having a little bit of an advantage, a couple points there, but DZ mainly up on hit points. What a wonderful game from both teams there. Putting DZ in the lead 2-1. Still plenty of games left. Best of 11, first to 6. Tiebreaker being decided once the two teams end up at 5. And so far, I do think that is possible. These two teams being very even so far. As we saw with a Zeke win in the first round, next two going to DZ. Curious what they're going to do to turn this around back into Zeke's favor. Get a little bit of momentum shift going. Possibly tie this up 2-2 as we head into the next map, which will be Himmelsdorf. Looks like we're getting some tanks picked up now. Hold down, going in the T100 LT. We already have a light tank picked up for the side of DZ. Another T100 LT like we saw last round. Good camo, good vision. And another object, well, 2 more object 140s. This team loves their object 140. And as you saw last game, yes, they're a little bit slower than other mediums, but the DPM and the reload rate on those tanks, great for cleaning up. I mean, we saw one of the 140s with 3 kills, able to put a couple of those low health tanks down. And that is its absolute specialty. Looks like we have 6 selected on the side of ZEEK, 3 selected on the side of DZ. ZEEK choosing to still play a light tank, unlike DZ, on the side of defense. T100 LT coming out from Attempted Wolf, along with a Leopard 1 IS-7 Murat, Grill 15, and another Murat. DZ picking up a Batchat 25T. This is, I think, the lightest that we've seen DZ go so far. Usually a very heavy playing team. Getting that 1 to 2,000 hit point advantage off the rip, but so far only 1 heavy tank picked out of 7. Opting to choose 2 IS-7s. And the Grill 15. So only 2 heavy tanks on the side of DZ this time. Not very typical from what we've seen of this team so far. Just missing 1 tank on the side of ZEEK. We're going to head on into game number 4, round number 2 on Malinovka. This time DZ attacking. Just waiting on that one final tank on the side of ZEEK, which does come up now. And we are ready to rock and roll into game number 4. Will ZEEK be able to take this one and tie it up 2-2? Let's find out. On the side of ZEEK, we have an IS-7, 2 Murats, 2 Leopard 1s, a T100 LT, and a Grill 15. On the side of DZ, we've got 2 IS-7s, a Batchat 25T, 2 Object 140s, a T100 LT, and a Grill 15. Curious to see what exactly DZ's plan is. They are pretty light. They're going to make some aggressive pushes. You know it's coming. Very light lineup for this team. Putting them at a fairly large disadvantage in hit points, but nothing good positioning can't beat. Aleutian gonna go ahead and get some blind fires in. See if he can get lucky in that 140, that reload rate. Why not, right? Why not? Never hurts. Hold down, gonna be spotting through mid. Gonna play those sneaky bushes in that T100 LT. ZEEK making a very aggressive play down the K line. Gonna go down the side of the frozen river. Possibly make some maneuvers here. However, they are kind of pulling back here. Killing Tank getting very aggressive along with Attempted Wolf. He knows it's clear, so he's going to try to make the move. 4 tanks from the side of ZEEK rotating back to support Red Dog in the IS-7, the lone wolf. DZ still setting up heavy on the northern side. Probably pretty obvious from the fact that Attempted Wolf didn't spot anyone on that aggressive push down to the G1-2 area. Big hits coming into Pokemon, man, as he gets spotted crossing from Hold Down there. Hold Down does get spotted after the fire. Big hit into Attempted Wolf from the Grill 15. ZEEK so far taking a big punish. However, one does go back into Illusion. Hold down getting, I believe, blind fired twice now from the Murat. Not able to get the pickup though. Does get lit again. He might go down here, and he does. Good shot from the IS-7 all the way in E0. That's going to be a lot of vision lost for DZ, putting hold down that far out. DZ not in a wonderful position to take B cap either. Looks like Killing Tank will try to get a little more aggressive here, as he should. He is relatively free on that side of the map. Tempted Wolf going to be playing the D6 area to try to get some spots here. Both heavies on hill are lit. And Red Dog going to sit there and delay them from pushing as long as he can. Grill 15 does get spotted on the way up. Good spot there from, I believe, the T100 LT. Good shots coming in. Not sure if this medium did get blind fired. No, he did not. Though they did attempt it. Red Dog still in a great position to be. Illusion does get spotted by the T100 LT and does get punished for it. One shot coming in for the T100. One shot from the Killing Tank in the Leopard 1. Putting him down to 807 hit points. A two shot. Another one coming in from the Killing Tank. Wow. Putting him down to 410. Not looking good for that 140. Attempted Wolf going to get aggressive, get some spots going in. Doesn't know that Leaky Shelf is where he is, but does have support from the Leopard 1 if he does get in trouble. So far, this is not looking very advantageous for DZ, losing most of the map control. Only down to about 30 to 35% of the map, if even. I would say they're down probably to 20. ZEEK having that light tank there, being very dominant with what they're able to do without getting spotted. Looks like we do have some maneuvers from the IS-7 played by Dark Blizzard onto the hill, getting a little more aggressive. He does get spotted for it by Red Dog. Gonna have to pull back. Grill 15 trying to get a couple blind fires in. And now DZ losing a little bit of momentum. Not going to be able to make an easy push out of this one. ZEEK has got them trapped. Dark Blizzard coming in for the push. Here he goes. He's going to B-cap. Going to try to put some pressure on. However, he is going to get shot in the side fairly easy, I do believe, from Pokemon Man here. Though Red Dog is being held down by the IS-7 on the hill. Grill 15 there to support if need be. Pokemon Man making the rotation over towards Leaky Shelf. Leaky Shelf does take a hit from the Killing Tank, who's had a great game so far in the Leopard 1, getting some good punish on all these tanks. Leaky Shelf is making the push down to the bush. Not able to spot a Tempted Wolf, hiding just a few meters away from him. Not within proximity spot. Though he is continuously lit. Minute 27 left on the base. Looks like Leaky Shelf is going to spot a Tempted Wolf as he pushes forward. I don't know if he's even realized it quite yet, but there he goes. He's looking now. Doesn't connect that shell, unfortunately. Stewie Bulb now with Dark Blizzard up on base, putting it down to 28 seconds. Looks like Super is going to push up, along with Red Dog, going to try to make a move on this base, possibly. However, Red Dog is at risk getting shot from a couple of the DZ guys, including the Grill 15. So far, good resets on the side of ZEEK, though he does get punished by the Grill for doing that. Big fire on a Dark Blizzard. Not sure who put that one in. That's gonna hurt. Still relatively even hit points. Not sure how DZ's been able to hold on with how much map control they have. Mediums spread out pretty heavy. May's still plenty of hit points. Able to get the Killing Tank down pretty good. He's being real aggressive in field. He's probably gonna go down for this with relatively no return. That's unfortunate for him. ZEEK still up, but DZ hanging on. Sin down to a one-shot. Sin bounces a really lucky bounce there from Leaky Shelf. Second one does not connect, goes into tracks. Finally able to finish. But Dark Blizzard, the I-7 on base, does go down, putting them at 1:37 back on cap. Attempted Wolf is able to get away. The 140 was not able to make a connection there to finish. Misses the blind fire as well, but very close. Super was able to finish off Shifty. So now Super's going to make a move on this IS-7 on base. Does get hit for it, but takes 2 in return. And the Murat should be able to clean up the IS-7, which he does. And this is looking like an even game for ZEEK, 2-2. All they have to do is clean this up in the next 2.5 minutes. No pressure. Maze going to try to look for this kill on Super. But he is taking punish from Pokemon Man, last one alive. Once he gets pushed, it's going to be game over for DZ. On to round number 5, 2-2, playing Himmelsdorf.
Great job, team.
Good job from ZEEK there. Let's head over to the scoreboard. On the side of ZEEK, we've got the Killing Tank in the Leopard 1, 0 kills, 3,318 damage. Super in the Grill 15, 1 kill, 2,876 damage. Totally Awesome in the Murat, 3 kills, 2,789 damage. Attempted Wolf in the T100 LT, 1 kill, 1,444 damage with 2,746 spotting. Pokemon Man in the Leopard 1, 1 kill, 1,334 damage. Red Dog in the IS-7, 1 kill, 1,323 damage. And Sin in the Murat, 0 kills, 816 damage. On the side of DZ, we've got Shifty in the Grill 15, 0 kills, 3,003 damage. Illusion in the Object 140 with 0 kills, 1,902 damage. TS Maze in the Object 140, 1 kill, 1,573 damage. Leaky Shelf in the Batchat 25T, 1 kill, 1,380 damage. Stewie Bulb in the IS-7, 0 kills, 1,058 damage. Dark Blizzard in the IS-7, 0 kills, 935 damage. And Hull Down in the T100 LT, 0 kills and 0 damage. Some really unfortunate clips there for the Batchat. Bad RNG. Unfortunate angles from things like the Murat. Things that should not have bounced did bounce. Happens to everyone. But let ZEEK get away with a little bit too much. Now we're going to be playing on to Himmelsdorf DZ, as we've seen pretty heavy lineup team. Possibly the strong suit. So this map may be leaning in DZ's favor, but we'll see if ZEEK is able to handle that with some really good plays. As expected from these two teams with a 3-win streak apiece, so far very even game, back and forth. First round going to ZEEK, next two to DZ, and final round going to ZEEK again, tying it up 2-2. I think we may be in for a couple more great games from these two competitors. And again, thank you to all the teams competing in Calamity, letting us stream these, letting us get some vision from the community on this wonderful competitive community. Couldn't do it without you guys. Looks like Super Delico going to go ahead and pick up an AMX 50B, a tank that we've seen all too many times on Himmelsdorf. Very devastating tank. You get those clips put in on a tank or two during a push, it can change the tide of a battle. Also great for cleaning up a couple of low health tanks. I don't think the CS63 ban is going to be too effective on this map, but I think it has affected what we've seen on the others so far, especially on mines. DZ picking up 2 IS-7s. We will see if they continue their strategy of significant hit point advantage at the start of a game. See if they choose to maybe play a 50B or not. They are on attack. ZEEK is on defense. We'll say ZEEK, that last game, very, very aggressive at the start of the game. Curious if they're going to follow through with that on Himmelsdorf. The game we streamed earlier, the EU1 semifinal, had a major push down the one line to catch a tank off guard. Not able to catch anything, though. Only one hit into a Type 5 heavy. Curious if we're going to see that again today. The way ZEEK's been playing a little more on the aggressive side. DZ throwing up a FV215B 183. Death Star. Absolutely massive cannon on that thing. Do not want to get hit by that. Definitely not pinned by the Hesh. That's going to hurt. I will say I am curious where they're going to put him. Maybe on the window on hill. But that is going to be a rough one. Same with the QL. Very high alpha damage heavy. So it is an interesting pick. We don't see a lot of QLs. They're going 3 IS-7 to 50B and another QL. Okay, so very, very Chinese and Soviet heavy. I could make for some interesting plays. Probably going to be a pretty hefty push wherever they do end up going. Just because they've got 5 of those heavies with decent alpha ready to rock and roll. If you guys have liked the coverage so far, like seeing these teams play, remember to follow and turn on those notifications so you can watch us cover a couple of games in the future. We've got plenty left. Events going all year round. Plenty of competitive to watch, guys. Just waiting on ZEEK to pick up their final 3 tanks. And Gambit has joined the lobby. So a new potential competitor on the side of ZEEK. And it looks like Bazzi is back in as well. Gambit going to throw up the 50B. Along with a T57 heavy. So they've got 2 120 autoloaders. Again, very devastating potential if caught out in the wrong position. Versus on the side of DZ with only 1. However, they do have that FV215B 183. And getting hit by that thing is not going to be fun, especially if you're a Grill 15. You cannot take a hit from the Hesh of that tank, or you are going to be hurting pretty good. All right, looks like we have 7 tanks picked up from both sides. ZEEK on defense. Game number 5. First round on Himmelsdorf. We can go ahead and get this round started. All right, heading into this game number 5. On the side of ZEEK, we've got a T110E5, a T57 Heavy, 2 IS-7s, and 2 AMX-50Bs, and a Grill 15. On the side of DZ, we've got 2 QLs, 3 IS-7s, an AMX-50B, and an FV215B 183. Very curious where that tank's going to go. But you can surely imagine wherever he goes, whatever's in front of that barrel is going to pay for it. And he's not going to go hill. Straight down towards Banana. Instead, IS-7 and 50B. Nope, IS-7 is going to turn. Just the 50B going hill. Looks like a pretty aggressive position from Sin in that Grill 15. Using that speed to his advantage. Going to try to potentially get a good shot in the side here as he can early game. He'll be looking to line up down this G line. But unfortunate for him, not many people there right now. Leaky Chef does get spotted by the heavy tank in mid. Pokemon Man in the IS-7 playing window. Sin going to rotate out as he probably realizes they are not going to be playing down Banana, instead opting in for a track push. 50B on hill is all alone. Super getting really aggressive in that IS-7 along with the 50B. 57 heavy and E5. Looks like they are going to try to take hill relatively early. Now, a couple of the tanks for DZ have been spotted in mid. Dark Blizzard going to be playing apart from Pokemon Man and the IS-7 in mid, trading blows, but it's a tough one to get him out of. DZ, unfortunately, lost a little bit of momentum. Gonna have to figure out what to do from here. Super Delico does get spotted on the hill. He is being aggressive, pushing towards Shifty. Shifty choosing to stay for now. Though if he does stay for too long, Gambit gonna be really rough on him here, but he is choosing to shoot towards mid, which does make sense. He will get good shots on the QL if they don't play very hill safe. Pokemon Man taking great damage from the heavy so far. Good job getting him out of that window. 3 IS-7s from DZ going down the tracks now, shooting down the one line. Unspotted so far. Sin playing forward, but has not been able to get vision. Same with the killing tank in the 50B. Illusion does get lit. Now all three have been lit, but so is the Grill 15. Good punish into Leaky Shelf there. The first IS-7 pushing down the one line. And another good punish from the killing tank. Nothing in return on Sin or the AMX 50B yet. Wasn't able to get a lot of punish out of that clip from the 50B, but they did conserve all of their hit points, so not a huge loss there. So far, still a very even game. DZ is able to put a little bit of cap pressure on, though I believe Attempted Wolf is going to start blind firing onto the cap if he knows the position. We'll see if he does. This is going to be rough. He's lining up for it, I think. But he has not shot it yet. I don't think he's actually... I don't know if he... Oh, he does. They did get lit, so he's not going to have to blind it. Good bounces from Dark Blizzard. And the IS-7 has taken every single shell he's thrown at him. Attempted Wolf not able to get a single pin off in that clip. That's really unfortunate. Taking a big hit in return. Down to 900 hit points. Shifty coming in for the cleanup. He doesn't see this coming. He's still in a reload. He's got nothing to do. He's just going to have to go down. Wow, good pick off there from Shifty. Realizing that 57 was going to go for the side peaks. Now, Pokemon Man getting a good hit onto Maze. ZEEK going to have to make a little bit of a forward play here, as we see from Totally Awesome. Going to be trying to get a reset on this base. 8 seconds left, down to 10, but gets reset up to 22. Looks like they are going to lose TS Maze from the hill. Dark Blizzard now going down. Survived for way longer than he should have, due to some really unfortunate bounces on the side of ZEEK. Here comes Pokemon Man. Really aggressive towards Illusion. Does have support from Leaky Shelf. Does take one on the side. Stewie Bulb now in a fight with Super. Pokemon Man is going to go down. Leaky Shelf though should go down from Gambit, but he is on reload, not able to finish. And now Sin looking to get some kind of punishment. Stewie Bulb still taking the 1v1 against Super. Gambit not reloaded yet, not able to help his teammate out. Sin missing the shot through the window on the QL. Really lucky for Stewie there. That would have been a detrimental shot to take. Huge hit from the Death Star. 1180. Oh my god, that was a massive, massive move. They needed that. Putting Sin down to 94 HP in a one-shot. Gambit, however, is able to get a shot, putting Stewie Bulb down to a one-shot for Sin, and Sin has cleaned it up. Now we are down to just 3 tanks on the side of DZ, 5 on the side of ZEEK, and hit points are relatively even. 215B did take a shot there. Not able to do too much with it, though. Super coming in on the 183. I think he realized maybe he's fired. He's going to try to get the cleanup here. Just down to 2 more tanks on the side of DZ, but hit points are relatively even. Though ZEEK does have a 2-tank advantage. Super being very cautious to play that corner as he should. That Death Star can take him out. Does get hit with the proxy. And now we see Killing Tank being aggressive on Illusion. He's looking the other direction, but he does not get spotted. Now he does. Totally awesome. Not able to connect. Will the 50B get any kind of punish in? He gets a bounce off the rear. One good shot in, but Aleutian gets away. Hold down, getting pushed by Gambit. Good cleanup from him. And now Aleutian gonna go down as well. Good slow game there. Great plays from ZEEK. Taking advantage where they could. Making it a 3-2 game. Off to the scoreboard. On the side of Decoy, we've got a Grill 15 played by Sin. 2 kills, 4,028 damage. Gambit in the AMX 50B, 3 kills, 3,718 damage. Super in the IS-7, 1 kill, 2,620 damage. The Killing Tank in the AMX 50B, 0 kills, 2,261 damage. Totally Awesome in the E5, 1 kill, 2,042 damage. Pokemon Man in the IS-7, 0 kills, 1,031 damage. And Attempted Wolf in the T57 Heavy, 0 kills, 0 damage with a really unfortunate full clip bounce onto that IS-7 on base, played by Dark Blizzard. On the side of DZ, we've got the FV215B 183, played by Hold Down with 1 kill, 5,115 damage. Great game from him. Shifty in the AMX 50B with 2 kills, 1,812 damage. Aleutian in the IS-7, 0 kills, 1,750 damage. Dark Blizzard in the IS-7, 0 kills, 1,412 damage. TS Maze in the QL, 0 kills, 1,041 damage. Stewie Bulb in the QL, 0 kills, 1,004 damage. And Leaky Shelf in the IS-7, 0 kills, 457 damage. We will now rotate over. DZ now going to be on defense and already pulling up a Waffle E100. So we saw him just play the 183, and that did warrant some decent results with that 5K damage game. Now we're going to see him do it with a Waffle, trading that high alpha for that big clip potential. Though it is a bit of a paper tank. Got to look out for HE. But I have a feeling if he plays it kind of like a trapdoor spider, could be very advantageous. We've seen that be used on things like Sand River before. Also, we've seen it used on things like Cliff, where its entire purpose is to just wait and punish when people make that aggressive play. Not sure if Neo is with DZ, but if he is, mouse pick, very common. Very common for the A6 area, left the side of that building. Make sure nothing's coming down the 0 line. Also able to support a banana push. It looks like he has not been kicked, so I'm assuming he is part of the team. On the side of Decoy, sorry, on the side of ZEEK, Decoy Sin pulling up a T110E4 instead of a Death Star. So it's a fairly common pick compared to the Death Star. Don't see those a lot. However, we have seen a FV4005 played by V2 on Cliff before, which was a really interesting play. Always love to see people change it up a little bit. And we did see the Grill 15 last round take a shot from that 183, but the 183, unfortunately, I believe, was shooting AP, not able to get a full Hesh roll and kill him. And because of that, Sin was able to get quite a bit of extra damage out of that Grill 15 before he went down. Looks like on the side of ZEEK, we do have every tank picked up. Just waiting for those 3 extra tanks on the side of DZ. Looks like Attempted Wolf is going to get back in the T57 Heavy. Going to do a little bit of a redemption run this round. Hopefully able to get a couple of those clips off, as it can be a very devastating tank with that very quick interclip reload and reload in general. Gambit back in the AMX 50B, a tank he's absolutely wonderful in, especially last round. We're on to game number 6. Second round of Himmelsdorf. On the side of DZ, we've got 2 Mouse, 2 57 Heavies, 2 IS4s, and a Waffle E100. On the side of ZEEK, we've got an FV215B, a Chieftain Mark 6, a T110E5, a T57 Heavy, an IS4, an AMX 50B, and a T110E4. DZ, again, very, very heavy lineup. Significant hit point advantage out of the gate of 1,650. Nearly another full tank. just because of how heavy the tanks they selected are. Looks like the mouse played by Neo going to use that little gun to clear out a couple of cars here so we can see down the lane. I do like that. Tank stacking up on ZEEK's side at a pretty traditional spot of K6. Going to make that move now with Sin leading that in the E4. See if we can get any kind of information. Here he comes. Super getting lit in the middle. Does spot Leaky Shelf. Playing on the B cap. Dark Blizzard choosing to blind up towards Hill. Some more shots coming in from Neo. Can't tell if he's clearing out some things or if he's trying to blind fire. Looks like he may be clearing out. He is. He's busting up some train cars so we can get a little better vision. Fairly calculated plays here from ZEEK. They're finally pushing up. They're two heavies in E4, inching ever closer to the A cap. Gambit still just chilling alone on Hill. DZ being set up in a very standard play. Ready for a mix of either not really committing too heavy on either cap. ZEEK sending totally awesome into the middle. With no vision on him so far from DZ. He's going to cross through the middle for free without getting spotted. Now he's going to play up towards the D4 area. He's going to get away with that without getting spotted. He's crossing over tracks. Sorry, not tracks, crossing over buildings. Neo's going to get lit. He's going to get punished here, possibly by Totally. Who gets an unfortunate bounce on the side of the turret. Good angling there from Neo. Have some pings coming out, possibly telling Shifty to move up towards that CB1 area. Looks like they're pretty aware that they are going to be playing towards A cap. Though ZEEK has not committed all their tanks there quite yet. Sin does get lit. Is getting punished from Shifty. Was able to put two in. Can he make it a third? He does not. Now he's on reload. Is unlit though. Is going to be able to stay there pretty safe for free without bleeding too many hit points. So far, hit point advantage still significantly in DZ's favor now, along with those extra bleeds, plus the general advantage just based off tank picks. Gonna make it real hard for ZEEK to make a devastating push and put DZ in a disadvantage. Shot going into the track of the E5 there. He does get a second connection. He does get a third. I think he's perma-tracked. Huge shots onto the killing tank. Only one shot in return. Wow, what a good clip from the Waffle. Neo putting one more into the killing tank, putting him down to one, trying to spray him down with that baby gun. Possibly get a track off. Looks like Stewie Bulb is rotating out to assist on the A cap, as the killing tank is going to put some pressure on. Attempted Wolf staring down the 3 line. Is going to get a little bit aggressive. Will probably get spotted, and he does. Takes one big hit straight to the gun from the mouse. Big pings coming up from the side of DZ. Pinging out that one line. Attempted Wolf, still spotted. DZ set up in a fairly good spot. They are up 4,400 hit points. Shifty going in for the play on the killing tank, and he's going to be able to get this for free. Not much going to be able to punish him. I mean, E4 may get one shot in, but he's going to kill the killing tank. Does get hit with a rack. Does not get shot in return from the E4 so far. Though E4 is rotating for it. He goes ahead and goes on reload. Now it's going to play a little more forward. Big hit. The T-57 heavy onto attempted Wolf. Waffle is reloaded. He's going to be aggressive. Possibly try to push out Totally Awesome. Get a clip off. And if he's not careful, this is going to hurt. 2 auto loaders right into the back of Totally. He's going to have to dive. Not able to do it. He's going to get punished pretty heavy for it. And he does. Goes down to half HP, a little bit under. 2 tanks on the banana push, gets spotted. Now stuck between a rock and a hard place. Super not able to get across without a little bit of punish from the DZ tanks playing down the 3 line. I think he's going to try it anyways. He does get unspotted. Big hits into the side of Pokemon Man trying to cross. Gambit now coming in the backside to try to kill Dark Blizzard. The push may be able to get him out of the game. Totally awesome. Down to a 1-shot. Probably going to get wiped out by Leaky Shelf, who unfortunately does track. Dark Blizzard doing a great job of hanging on there. Gambit still on reload, not able to finish him off. Taking a hit from the T-57 Heavy on the side. Now, Leaky Shelf and Stewie Bulb going to collapse on in. Try to take out these tanks while they can. Big hits onto Gambit. Gambit will probably take out Leaky Shelf, but Stewie Bulb coming right in behind. Will Gambit be able to get away? Little gun pin there from the mouse. Good back hit into Gambit. And he's going to put a decent mag into Super. Gambit with shell still in the chamber, coming in on Stewie Bulb. He only had 1 left though. Didn't go for a reload. Stewie Bulb going to reload well in advance if Gambit's not able to get away. Still fairly even though, leaning in DZ's favor. As Gambit is going to go down to Stewie Bulb right now. There he goes. Now we just have the Chieftain Mark 6 played by Super. Going against the mouse in played by Dark Blizzard. Unfortunate bounce there from Super. Looks like Blizzard is going to be able to pick up the kill. Should be able to pin the top of his turret there if he's able, if not the front of his hole. Does get an unfortunate shot into the front of his turret, I believe. There goes Super. Only 2 tanks remaining on the side of ZEEK. Sin taking a big one right to the face from the Waffle E100, but does go down. Now Sin has been taken down as well by Shifty. Shifty coming in for the cleanup. Does get killed by Attempted Wolf, but Illusion right around the corner. Ready to end Attempted Wolf's game. And that's going to be it for game number 6. DZ tying it back up 3-3. Looks like it might be a ram kill here. Not quite. Not quite. However, he does go down. That's going to be a 3-3 game. Let's head over to that scoreboard. See exactly what happened. On the side of ZEEK, we've got Attempted Wolf in the T-57 Heavy. 1 kill, 3,619 damage. Sin in the T-110E4, 1 kill, 2,957 damage. Super in the Chieftain Mark 6, 0 kills, 2,572 damage. Gambit in the AMX-50B, 1 kill, 2,468 damage. Totally Awesome in the FV-215B, 0 kills, 1,396 damage. The Killing Tank in the T-110E5, 0 kills, 1,286 damage. And Pokemon Man in the IS-4, 0 kills, 455 damage. On the side of DZ, we've got Stewie Bulb in the T-57 Heavy with 2 kills, 4,249 damage. Hold down on the Waffle E100, 0 kills, 3,725 damage. Dark Blizzard in the Mouse, 0 kills, 2,181 damage. Neo Beater in the Mouse, 1 kill, 2,092 damage. Leaky Shelf in the IS-4, 1 kill, 1,582 damage. Shifty in the T-57 Heavy, 2 kills, 1,294 damage. And Illusion in the IS-4 with 1 kill, 927 damage. Another great game, fairly even down to the wire. But DZ able to get a little bit of an advantage on some of those pushes. That's going to lead us 3-3 into Prokhorovka. DZ going to be playing defense first round. And ZEEK, eager to get this next game going, already picking up a couple of tanks. It appears that that hit point advantage last game, DZ being the heavy team, did pay off in their favor. Also, great clips from Stewie in that T-57 Heavy, and also hold down on that Waffle, making some very big turns in the tide there in a couple of those pushes. All right, it looks like DZ is going to start picking up some tanks here. Going to take us on into game number 7. Versus the last couple of games that we've seen. We have not seen a game this even yet. This is making for a wonderful semifinals. These teams are very evenly matched. It's going to be going blow for blow. You never know what you're going to get with these two teams. Again, another map with 1-to-1 between ZEEK and DZ. Looks like DZ opting to pull in a DBV 152. Not going to play a grill on this map, which is interesting. Though not too far off. But still, a little bit of a different pick. Looks like ZEEK already has their tank selected. They are ready to rock and roll. However, it looks like they have 8 selected. That's not quite right. Hopefully they'll catch that before we start this next game up. Side of DZ already picking up that 140 again. One of their favorite tanks. Seem to have played it on nearly every map except for Himmelsdorf. And the DBV is back, so we are going to see that one this game. Instead of that Grill 15. The Stritzvon also is not banned. So I'm curious why no one has played a Stritzvon yet, but I understand high alpha TD can be devastating. Doesn't quite match up to the stealth and the DPM brought by that Stritzvon though. And on defense on this map, Stritzvon can be a very, very powerful tank, even on attack as well if you play him up towards the hillside. So really interesting they did not choose to do that. ZEEK still has 8 tanks selected. I'm sure somebody on the side of DZ will let them know possibly before this game does start. Looks like they have deselected. They are down to 7. I have realized the mistake. Now we have a total of 7 selected up for DZ too, so we're about to start this next round. Game number 7, first round of Prokhorovka with DZ on defense. All right, on the side of DZ, we've got 2 IS-7s, 1 Batchat 25T, a Marat, 2 Object 140s, and a DBV 152. On the side of ZEEK, we've got a Chieftain Mark 6, 2 IS-7s, a Batchat 25T, 2 Leopard 1s, and a T100 LT. Man, DZ really loves that Object 140. Anytime they get the chance, they are going to play those, which I understand they do have good DPM, but a little bit slower on the medium side. Looks like they are going to be sending them towards hill, and a majority of the tanks on defense going to be playing to the A2 spot, which is really interesting. Not a very traditional play, I would say. Very, very interesting. Going to be sending them down the 2 line. But I mean, if ZEEK splits their team up like they kind of are now, those mediums aren't able to support. That would be a bit of an advantage for DZ to catch them off guard. Just depends on what DZ exactly is going to do. Super going to be playing towards the bowl position, getting some view over onto their side of the map. Sin playing towards town, trying to get any kind of vision as well. 3 mediums from the side of ZEEK going to be playing up on hill, along with 2 mediums from DZ with support from the Batchat 25T, playing in that A0 position. Looks like we got some pings coming out, pointing out the J7-ish area. Lucian trying to get any kind of shot or vision into center. I think somebody may be playing towards town, maybe just over tracks, but nobody's there quite yet. Actually playing significantly farther over to the 3-to-1 line. Meanwhile, these 3 mediums up on hill just going to take it easy for a while until they figure out what's going on. Plenty of time left to work with. ZEEK does not have to be in any kind of hurry yet. Still 8 minutes left. But we have seen these games get down to the 3 to 4 minute mark without much happening. That's when things start to cost. And that time starts to weigh on you. Looks like we've got some major hits coming in on Sin there. He does get lit, and the IS-7s are able to punish. Down to 560 hit points. I think he's going to get away for the rest of that, but he is significantly lower on hit points than he was before he made that push down the 2 line. Does spot out the tanks. Now they know what's playing over there. I'm curious to see if ZEEK is going to make a move over tracks, possibly. So far, not much coming out of ZEEK's side. Still playing it very safe. Trying to blind fire, I believe, hold down, playing in the back of the map. Still a relatively slow game with a lot of blind fires coming out, just trying to get any kind of hit points taken out before a major play is made. ZEEK at a little bit of a hit point disadvantage here. Not as much as we've seen in the past. Still have all 7 tanks alive. Lucian going to play a little more aggressive. Maybe try to get a little bit of vision on these mediums. Gambit is going to push up further than he was before. Is going to be joined by the other mediums. I think this is where they're going to make that push. Just to get a little more aggressive. He is going to get lit here when he peeks up, and he does. Both do. Good punish into Gambit from the Marat, and the DBV may have a shot here any second. So far, DBV not able to put too much in. Good hit from the Bat Chat onto Pokemon Man. Same with a good hit from the 140 as well. Here comes the push onto Illusion from Attempted Wolf, and Gambit. Attempted Wolf taking major hits. He's down to a 1-shot with an ammo rack, and he's going to go down to the Bat Chat. Illusion is going to go down, but that did cost ZEEK a lot to get that tank out of there. As you can see by that hit point disadvantage, ZEEK's going to have a rough time, especially now that they've committed to this side. They've got to try to make do with what they've got. Killing Tank in kind of a bad position to be. Is going to get stuck. Pokemon Man pushing across to try to get some support over onto Shifty. Not quite able, though. They do have good coverage from the 140, Batch at 25T, and DBV 152. You do not want to get hit by that DBV. And that's exactly what Pokemon Man is going to do. And he gets finished out of the Batch at 25T. Shifty taking another good hit there, down to a 1-shot, but Gambit and the Killing Tank stuck now. No support over tracks. Leaky gonna try to take advantage of this, I do believe. Good hit into the 140 there. Leaky Chef looking to get a shot or two into the Killing Tank. Gambit is going to peek up, try to get a hit on him, I do believe, but he's not reloaded quite yet. Does take a shot. Not sure I like that peek there without him being reloaded. Does end up going down to the Object 140. Now it's just Killing Tank. Does get Shifty out of the game, leaving just Leaky Shelf in that offensive position there to spot the Killing Tank, but he is stuck. Now we have Sin looking to clean up the IS-7 if he doesn't bounce. And he does not. Good cleanup from him. They needed that. Now we have TS Mays in a bit of an aggressive position. May get shot in the side here a little bit from the light tank. Now that he's cleared out that other heavy, I think he's realized that. He's going to try to make a little bit of a maneuver to get safe, but he does take a shot from the light tank. Now taking shots from the Chieftain and about to take one from the IS-7 as well. Killing Tank getting pushed out by a couple of the DZ guys there. Good play from them. TS Mays is going to get taken out by Totally Awesome here. DBV with a really unfortunate bounce as he pushed over. And now the DBV is going to take a bit of a punish. Looks like ZEEK does have a fairly good spot here to start putting a little bit of A cap on, which it looks like Totally Awesome is going to do. Chieftain is going to fall back to the bowl position, try to support, try to stop this DBV from getting any kind of reset. Mediums coming in down the F line. Does get spotted. Hold down, maybe looking to try to take the advantage here on Super. It looks like he may. Leaky Shelf does get spotted, though. No more surprise for him. Sin does as well. Now Hold Down realizes that he's going to have to wait it up a little bit. Super getting a good shot into Leaky there. Not one that he wanted to take. DBV missing his shot into Totally Awesome. Still has 54 seconds left. Leaky taking 2 hits. One from the Chieftain, one from the T100. T100 is going to look to clean up. Leaky not able to hit his shot. And misses on the T100. Sin scraping away yet again. Object 140 does get the cleanup. DBV is going to be a little aggressive on Totally Awesome. Does get that reset. Makes Totally Awesome push that DBV. Object 140, great shots in the back there. All DBV has to do is get reloaded. Get that one shot in, and he is going to take out Totally Awesome. And there goes Sin. Very even game, fairly down to the wire, but a win in the end for DZ. Let's see what that scoreboard's looking like. On the side of ZEEK, we've got Super in the Chieftain Mark 6 with 0 kills, 3,085 damage. Totally Awesome in the IS-7, 1 kill, 2,779 damage. The Killing Tank in the Leopard 1, 1 kill, 2,463 damage. Sin in the T100 LT, 2 kills, 2,006 damage. Gambit in the Batchet 25T, 1 kill, 1,912 damage. Attempted Wolf in the Leopard 1, 0 kills, 874 damage. And Pokemon Man in the IS-7, 0 kills, 526 damage. On the side of DZ, we've got Hold Down on the Object 140, top of the team in damage. Almost in kills, 2 kills, 2,864 damage. Leaky Shelf in the Batchet 25T with 3 kills, 2,844 damage. Neo Beater in the DBV 152, 1 kill, 2,799 damage. Shifty in the Marat with 1 kill, 2,275 damage. TS Maze in the IS-7, 0 kills, 1,483 damage. Dark Blizzard in the IS-7, 0 kills, 1,454 damage. And Illusion in the Object 140, 0 kills, 581 damage. Another very, very even game, played pretty well by DZ, taking that first win on Prokhorovka, making it 4-3. Now ZEEK going to be able to play defense. Let's see what they do. Looks like we have had the bug where the map is going to get deselected. Hopefully they'll realize that before they start this game up, or we'll have to redo the round again. We have seen that a couple of times. It's a known bug. Hopefully they get that fixed fairly soon. I believe it occurs when swapping sides. And they've noticed, and we're back on proc. What a game we've had so far. Very, very even. Teams trading back and forth almost every round. Really, really close. It looks like ZEEK is going to opt in to take the Stritzvon over the DBV. But DZ is going to pick that DBV on attack as well. Seems like they're going to play that in position of where a Stritzvon usually would be. Possibly going to send that over to Hill down the 0 line. Try to get some good height advantage over a couple of the tanks defending that base. DZ yet again with the 2 Object 140s. I think they're going to try to play these every open map they can. Seems like the only maps they're not going to play those on are things like Himmelsdorf, maybe Ghost Town, things similar to that. But on these open maps, they are going to keep using those 140s. And it does seem to be working for them. They are competing with ZEEK and able to get quite a few advantages just because of the DPM on those tanks. And like I said earlier, if you guys are enjoying the games and want to catch a couple more, make sure that you follow the channel, turn those notifications on. We will be continuing to stream competitive events all year round. Maybe even some non-tournament games as well. We're going to head on into game number 8, second round on Prokhorovka, this time with ZEEK on defense. Looks like on the side of ZEEK, we've got a Chieftain Mark 6, a T95 FE 4201, T57 Heavy, 2 Bat Chats, Leopard 1, and a Stritzfon 103B. On the side of DZ, we've got a Chieftain Mark 6, 2 IS7s, a Bat Chat 25T, 2 Object 140s, and a DBV 152. Very similar lineup to what they ran on defense. I'm curious where they're going to play that DBV. Looks like they're going to take that DBV in the mediums down to the 1-2 line instead of opting to go on to Hill. Leaky Shelf not moving yet. Not sure if he was able to load in, and he does. Fairly standard defensive play by ZEEK here. Killing Tank going to play pretty aggressive in that Leopard 1 just to try to prevent any kind of push down the 1-2 line. They did opt to not run a light tank, so the Killing Tank is going to be their only information on the side of the map. Though if DZ makes that push down the 2 line, he may get caught out and killed. Just depends on how quick he's able to fall back. So you see some pings coming out from the side of, I believe, ZEEK. Here comes the push from DZ straight down the F1 and 2 line, or sorry, the 1 and 2 line. Now at F1 and 2. Does get spotted by the Killing Tank. No shot in return. They're going to drive this thing all the way down. Shifty gets lit trying to go into bowl. Shifty is going to take bowl. Try to contest Pokemon Man while his teammates are pushing all the way down towards the B2, A2 area. No, but they're going to jump over right now. Look at that. Going to play up towards that C3 area. I think they're going to try to kill the Killing Tank. They're going to go straight over. Good. Big ram onto the Leopard down to a 1-shot. They're going to clean him up fairly easy. Pokemon Man not able to provide a lot of support. Totally awesome getting punished for his support. DS Maze takes one going over. Now they've got a significant amount of tanks sitting on ACAP. ZEEK going to have to get aggressive. Every time Pokemon Man's going to peek, Shifty going to get a good hit in there. DBV, wonderful shot on the 57 Heavy, trying to support, get anything going towards the ACAP side. Good push there from DZ, taking the early advantage. About 1,000-ish hit points up. 3 tanks on base. Totally Awesome able to get a shot in a Stewie Bulb there. They've got to get a little bit of punish on Totally Awesome before he's able to keep resetting. Good coverage there by a couple of tanks on the back line of DZ. Over Totally Awesome is going to go down to a 1. And Bulb is going to go down to a 1 as well. They need to try to conserve his hit points. Pokemon Man looking to finish, and they get the cap. Another round for DZ. Gonna check out that scoreboard real quick. On the side of ZEEK, we got Totally Awesome in the Chieftain Mark 6. 0 kills, 2,124 damage. Pokemon Man in the T95 FV4201. 0 kills, 1,223 damage. Super in the STRV 103B. 0 kills, 860 damage. The Killing Tank in the Leopard 1. 0 kills, 548 damage. Sin in the T57 Heavy was 0 kills, 0 damage. Attempted Wolf in the Bat Chat. 0 kills, 0 damage. And Gambit in the Bat Chat. 0 kills, 0 damage. On the side of DZ, we've got Shifty in the Chieftain Mark 6. Great job holding Pokemon Man down. Not able to get those resets like he wanted. Coming in the Chieftain at 0 kills, 1,610 damage. Neo Beater in the DBV 152. Also punishing a couple of those tanks trying to support. 0 kills, 1,491 damage. Stewie Bulb in the IS7, 0 kills, 1,008 damage. Dark Blizzard in the IS7, 1 kill, 942 damage. DS Maze in the Object 140, 0 kills, 341 damage. Hold down on the Object 140, 0 kills, 293 damage. Leaky Shelf, the Batch at 25T, 0 kills and 0 damage. Putting DZ into game point in this NA1 semifinals matchup. What a good push there by DZ, recognizing that ZEEK had committed a lot of tanks over tracks. Took advantage of it, made the push on the base. ZEEK not able to rotate the tanks like they wanted to due to good coverage from the back line of DZ, shutting out some of those Bat Chats on the side of ZEEK. Now we're going to move on to Sand River, which will be our final regulation match. If ZEEK is able to get these 2 rounds, we will go to a tiebreaker. That has not been decided on yet. ZEEK still eager to get this game going ahead and picking up 4 tanks. Looks like a fairly standard lineup from them so far. Curious if DZ is going to choose those 140s again. Very, very, very curious. They do seem to play them on every open map. This is certainly no exception. Though the 140s on this map not offering a lot of movement potential. This is a map where we're going to usually see a lot more speedy mediums. ZEEK going ahead and picking up 6 tanks. Pokemon Man looks like he's rejoined the lobby. I think he left by accident there for a second. First tank by DZ, Kronvon. Another not so popular pick. A tank we did see banned in the last semifinals game that we covered on EU1 just earlier today, though. So really intriguing pick. Not a bad map for it. Kronvon has amazing turret armor and also great gun depression. I'm sure he's going to make full advantage of that. Also a decent clip potential as well. Looks like ZEEK is still going to run that pretty standard lineup with 2 I7s, Chieftain Mark 6, Leopard 1, Bat Chat, and a T95 FV4201. Neo Beater going to throw up a Grill 15 and Hold Down going to pull out a Chisel. Hold Down is going to pull out a Chisel. Another tank that not too common. Though I have seen other teams pull out tanks similar. Rare that you see it like this. What a game so far. DZ pulling ahead in the last 2 rounds. Able to take that 2-round advantage after a very tied game of 3-3. Now up to 5-3 in DZ's favor. ZEEK going to be playing defense, which may end up being a little bit of an advantage for them, keeping them out of that final win on the DZ side. Possibly taking this to 5-4. We'll see what ZEEK's able to do as these final tanks get picked up. Looks like we have some bilingual gamers in the chat. I always love to see those multinational players coming in. Providing a little bit of spice to the NA game that we're playing here. Though primarily looks like it's going to be Spanish. Did see a few other languages in a couple messages in the past, but always love to see our other nations representing in the chat. Make sure to bully Kellen in Spanish if you can. He does deserve it, I promise. All right, we are fully picked up on both sides, it seems. About to head into round number 9. Our first round on Sand River. And here we go. Round number 9. First round on Sand River, played by ZEEK on defense. On the side of ZEEK, we've got a Chieftain Mark 6, a T95 FV4201, 2 IS7s, a Batchet 25T, a Marat, and a Leopard 1. On the side of DZ, we've got a Chieftain Mark 6, a Super Conqueror, a Kronvon, a Batchet 25T, a Chisel, a T95 E6, and a Grill 15. Looks like ZEEK is going to play those heavies up towards the bowl at around the D6-7 area. Very typical spot for them. Gambit going to play up on the rocks, try to get any spotting going on anything that may play a little aggressive to begin with. May actually be able to get a spot on Shifty here, which could clue them in a little bit on what's going on, especially if those other mediums come up with them. Looks like Killing Tank gonna get aggressive, playing up towards that A8 area. Was looking to see if he could get a spot off before they got there, but unable to. Shifty just now rounding that corner. Still not spotted. Gambit has rotated away. Killing Tank about to peek and see at least 3 tanks if that bad check continues on. Fortunately, he did not overcommit, and he has backed away. Looks like Gambit is coming in to support the Killing Tank. And so is Totally Awesome, who's now going to be playing that traditional corner at A8. Now, we have seen teams push this out and pay for it. This time, no TD, playing B0 to back him up. Shifty taking a hit from the Killing Tank and putting one in return. So far, we've got a pretty fairly slow game now developing. It seems like a lockup between DZ and ZEEK. Not sure if they were expecting all these tanks to be ready for this push. Looks like we do have the Marat now supporting from the position we've seen TD support from before, but he did get lit. So they do know that he is there. Still very even on hit points, with ZEEK taking the 1,000 advantage due to a little bit of Kronvon bleed. Illusion taking a shot as well from Attempted Wolf. ZEEK setting up for great crossfire. These 3 heavies from DZ kind of stuck. Attempted Wolf in a fairly good position with relatively no one looking at him. Yeah, these heavies from DZ kind of in a rough spot. Another big hit into Illusion there from Attempted Wolf as DZ keeps bleeding hit points. Super going to rotate, possibly try to get a few more shots in where he can on these heavies. It looks like he's setting up for that right now. Though if he's a little bit too aggressive, it looks like Leaky may be able to get a few shots into him. Not sure if he's aware that a tank is rotating to get those shots in. Leaky actually getting good punish on the IS-7 now, 2 in. Not able to get any more, though. He is going to play safe, get that turret poked over. So far, Leaky, no shots in return, and he does go unspotted. Three heavies for DZ, still sitting in the D6 position. Trying to take shots on Totally Awesome, but Totally Awesome in a great position to be. 2 medium tanks. Waiting for anything to happen with the 2 medium tanks on the DZ side. So far, they're playing very passive. Not making many mistakes. Right now, ZEEK just trying to take advantage of those heavy tanks, playing that B cap. So they are going to try to put a little bit of cap pressure on just to try to make ZEEK do something. But it looks like they are going to try to push out Pokemon, man. Here comes the push from Hold Down and Shifty onto the IS-7. They are down 1 tank on that push. And it looks like the heavy tanks from DZ are going to get farmed here. They're trying to support the mediums, but the mediums are kind of cut off. They can't get shots on these 2 mediums playing around the A0 area for ZEEK. Hold Down. Going to get punished for it. He will go down here to the IS-7 and 1 more shot. Now primarily just these 3 heavies left. Here comes the collapse from DZ. 3 heavy tanks going to push up, try to finish out this Kron while they come up from the back and try to kill Stewie. Looks like they may target Illusion first. Actually, he is poking out the most. What a turnaround for ZEEK. ZEEK making this one look a little bit easy. Getting that good crossfire that was unchecked from DZ. From Totally Awesome there in mid. Big hit into the Leopard 1 from the Grill 15, but it is just too late. As the last tank standing. As ZEEK looks to clean up this final tank, it's going to make it 4-5. DZ still in the lead. Possibly going to go to tiebreaker. Neo may be able to kill the killing tank. I think he's going to look for him, but he's just not quite able to do it. And the ram kill, not quite either. Big round there for ZEEK. Head over to that scoreboard. Totally awesome. Good side farm there in that IS-7. 2 kills, 3,392 damage. Attempted Wolf in the IS-7, 1 kill, 2,530 damage. The Killing Tank in the Leopard 1, 2 kills, 2,304 damage. Gambit in the Batchat 25T, 1 kill, 2,099 damage. Super in the Chieftain Mark 6, 1 kill, 1,891 damage. Pokemon Man in the T95 FV4201, 0 kills, 1,611 damage. And Sin in the Marat, 0 kills, 773 damage. Did not lose a single tank that round. Great hit point spread. Great tank preservation on their end. And on the side of DZ, we've got Hold Down in the Chisel, 0 kills, 2,141 damage. Leaky Shelf in the Batchat 25T, 0 kills, 1,473 damage. Neo Beater in the Grill 15, 0 kills, 1,433 damage. Stewie Bulb in the Chieftain Mark 6, 0 kills, 1,286 damage. Illusion in the Super Conqueror, 0 kills, 1,285 damage. Shifty in the T95 E6 with 0 kills, 399 damage. And Dark Blizzard in the Kronvon not able to do anything. We are going to head on into game number 10. It's getting picked up right now. DZ ready to rock and roll. Actually, the first ones to pick up this time. Not common for them, as ZEEK is usually the ones to be the fast pickers. ZEEK is not too far behind. Picking up a couple of tanks, choosing to take out 2 Leos. With that CS63 ban, Leos are a good substitute. And we have seen plenty of Leos played these games. ZEEK looking to hold on one more round just to try to get it to tiebreaker. DZ still on game point in this best to 11 semifinal series. Looks like the side of DZ picking up identical tanks nearly. Seems like something they do like to do. They do seem to run similar strats on both sides, unless they're changing that up right now, but it looks like they are not going to do that. And I will say, it seems like they have a significantly higher chance of winning with those 140s. They dropped the 140s last time. They weren't able to take the round. Maybe that's their lucky tank. All right, we have one more tank remaining for the side of ZEEK. Illusion getting back in the lobby after accidentally leaving, I believe. Full tanks picked up for the side of DZ. No light tanks, though. And once he gets that final tank picked up, we will head on into game number 10. Almost the longest this series can go. If ZEEK is able to hold on, this will go to a tiebreaker. We're going to head on into round number 2 on Sand River. Game number 10. On the side of DZ, we've got a Chieftain Mark 6, a Super Conqueror, a Kronvon, a Batchat 25T, a Chisel, a T95 E6, and a Grill 15. On the side of ZEEK, we've got a Chieftain Mark 6, 2 IS-7s, a Batchat 25T, and 3 Leopard 1s. 3 Leopard 1s. Very heavy on the medium. Something that may have been replaced by the CS63 is not able to pick those due to DZ's tank ban. But the Leopard will do a good enough job. DZ going to put that Grill 15 in an interesting position. Not going to throw him in the usual B0. He's going to play real forward. Sin looking to get any kind of vision going over on the J line, as he will kind of be their light tank this game. No light tanks from either team. May's playing a good position there. DZ stacking up in a very interesting spot. Playing the F7 area. Real 15 maybe looking to get any punish on tanks playing in the back like Attempted Wolf. Not quite looking at the right spot, though. TS Maze does light super. Now we see some pings coming out from the side of, I believe, DZ. Marking up where they think these tanks are going to be. TS Maze throwing HE into super just to try to get those hit points down a little bit. Every little bit counts. Every little bit does count. No return from super onto Maze, so that little bit of an advantage is going to be an advantage if he will get down to a one-shot. Potentially preventing an extra shell from being needed. Game, it does get lit playing on the backside of the hill at D6. Though no one able to punish him. DZ getting locked to the right side of the map, not able to push a tank past the 7 line, and losing control of the south. As Sin and Pokemon Man are going to play aggressive. Hold down, getting set up to punish this, but it's going to be a 2v1. It's going to be hard to get him out of this position, but they're going to be able to do it with that advantage. And here we're going to see Pokemon Man get lit by Hold Down. Hold Down going to get lit in return. Pokemon Man able to get over with no punish. Grill 15 going to play aggressive towards the C0D0 area. Try to get shots and help out the Chisel here. Same with the Batchet 25T. Wow, we've got a push coming in from ZEEK here on the Kronvon, who's now left alone. Not much support aside from the 2 tanks sitting at the D7 hill. This is going to be a rough one for the Kron if they do make this push. But they are able to get good punish on Maze without even having to go all the way over on a Dark Blizzard. Putting Maze down to 1100, now 753. Down to a 2-hit. What a game so far. Still relatively even on hit points. TS Maze being the only one that's taken any damage this game so far. Blizzard staying in a good position. Now has support back from the Grill 15 and the Batchet 25T. Waiting for that push to happen. We've seen this exact play. If they will stay hidden, which it looks like the Batchet 25T will not. Playing where he is. If they would commit on Dark Blizzard, that would be really, really unfortunate for those ZEEK tanks. Shifty does get spotted. Unfortunate bounce on the Leopard 1. As you know, the Leopard 1 does have the most armor in the game. Or at least sometimes it does feel that way when you're playing competitive and need that to actually pin. Dark Blizzard getting hit with HE a couple of times. Appears from Gambit. Still playing the back of that hill. Now we have a little bit of pressure coming in on the A-cap from Sin. Hold Down is in a back position. Kind of held up by Pokemon Man, though. Not going to be able to do too much to Sin at the moment. Stewie Bulb trying to get something going on him, but still not able to either. He's unspotted. With Super there to support Pokemon Man. With an interesting peek from the Chisel onto Pokemon Man. Pokemon Man coming in on him. Looks like this is going to be a 1v1. Significant hit point advantage for Pokemon Man. Pokemon Man going to try to draw him out. Maybe get a side shot in from one of his teammates. He is unsupported here. But that Chisel's not going to be able to take that tank down on his own, I don't believe. Stewie Bulb is coming into support, though. Hold Down does realize that and is going to back up. Sin looking to come in from behind and support. I don't think they've realized that he is trying to get in behind Stewie Bulb here. If he is, that's going to be a huge clip. Gonna be able to take out Stewie Bulb and put the hurt on Hold Down. Stewie Bulb was ready for it though, but he's not going to be able to live this. So he's going to go down. So it does take one more out of Sin. Chisel will be able to get one more shot, I do believe, into Pokemon Man, but does bounce it off the side. And this is looking more and more in the favor of ZEEK. Still have a pretty heavy presence of DZ up north. But now... Actually, very even game from the Chisel and the IS-7. Chisel able to get him down to 63 hit points. And Super getting hit a little bit more as well. Kronvan's about to be reloaded. Killing Tank and Totally Awesome contesting both Dark Blizzard and Matisse. Matisse looks like he is going to go for the push on the Killing Tank. Same with Dark Blizzard. And they are going to be able to finish him off. But Totally Awesome, full hit points, and both of them go on reload. So they're not going to be able to deal with Totally Awesome. They're just going to have to back out and reevaluate their situation here. Gambit's still playing the exact same position. D6 able to get some good work put in. Just contest those heavies like Maze playing on that ridge. And there goes Neo Beater. Down to just 3 tanks on the side of DZ at a significant 2,500 hit point disadvantage. With ZEEK still having 5 alive and a full health IS-7, nearly full health Leopard 1. This is going to be a rough experience for DZ when they try to come out of this. Super does get lit, I believe, by Matisse. Possibly Shifty, though. He was actually Shifty that time. Gambit making the push on to Shifty. Here comes Matisse in the bat chat. Does spot out Gambit. Making a good clip off on him if he chooses to stay. Gambit may go down, but Shifty taken out by the 63 hit point IS-7. The Chisel was unable to clear out. Matisse down to 1,000 hit points. I believe he has 1 more shell left. Maybe 2. Not able to get the finish on Gambit. He is last alive, and I believe this will be going to the tiebreaker as ZEEK able to hold on for 2 rounds in-game point against DZ.
Great job, team.
Head on over to that scoreboard. On the side of Decoy, we've got Super in the Chieftain Mark 6, 1 kill, 3,537 damage. Gambit in the Leopard 1, 0 kills, 3,006 damage. Sin in the Batchat 25T, 2 kills, 2,311 damage. Pokemon Man in the IS-7, 3 kills, 2,013 damage. The Killing Tank in the Leopard 1, 1,994 damage, 0 kills. Attempted Wolf in the Leopard 1, 1 kill, 1,238 damage. And Totally Awesome in the IS-7, 0 kills, 481 damage. On the side of DZ, we've got Hold Down in the Chisel, 2,795 damage, 0 kills. Matisse in the Batchat 25T, 1 kill, 2,125 damage. Shifty in the T95 E6, 0 kill, 1,750 damage. Neo Beater in the Grill 15, 0 kill, 1,706 damage. Dark Blizzard in the Kronvan, 1 kill, 1,506 damage. Maze in the Super Conqueror with 0 kills, 988 damage. And Stewie Bulb in the Chieftain Mark 6, 0 kills, 859 damage. Looks like they are going to be picking up that tiebreaker any second now. Looks like the tiebreaker is going to be played on steps picked by ZEEK. Now, this is the map I mentioned earlier that a lot of teams weren't playing light tanks on for some reason, and based on the way DZ has played in the past, it's very possible they're not going to take one and instead take a Batchat 25T or something similar and opt in for that more heavy lineup. But we are down to game 11 in this best of 11 series for the NA1 semifinals. What an amazing couple of games so far. Very, very even. DZ pulling ahead with a 5-3 advantage, but ZEEK able to hold on Sand River, taking both rounds. Looks like DZ choosing to take defense on steps. I think that's a pretty smart move. Gonna make ZEEK try to work around whatever they're gonna do, as you can get set up in some pretty good positions on defense on this map. So hopefully ZEEK will think of something worthwhile to pull out here on offense. And while we're waiting, I'd like to give a thank you to these two teams for playing this best of 11 all the way through again. Couldn't do it without you guys out there swinging at each other as hard as you can. Thank you to everybody watching today. Getting that view count up, getting this competitive scene spread out there to the community. And if you guys want to see some more games, make sure you follow and turn those notifications on so you get pings whenever we go live with more games in the future. Hopefully I won't be alone those times. My usual co-conspirator here has left me today. That is all right. We're making do with what we can. Okay, there was some misconception. It looks like DZ is actually going to be the one picking the map. And ZEEK will be the one picking the side. So Hold Down is going to choose a new map here. We'll see what he chooses. So they're still deliberating on what they want to play. There's a little bit of miscommunication there. Still no choice from DZ on that map ban. Not sure exactly what they want to do. Looks like they are going to go ahead and go with steps. And give DZ the side. All right, so we should see a couple of tanks getting picked up here. They have both agreed they are going to go ahead and play on steps on the sides they're on now. ZEEK, go ahead and picking up a couple tanks here. Shouldn't take too long before we get into this final tiebreaker round. Something I have not personally been able to cover yet, though we have had a couple of tiebreakers in the past. Not sure if we had in the semifinals yet. This has been a very long game, so thank you to everyone who's been sticking around the whole time. We've had very, very even, close games, back and forth trades. And I'm very happy that I've been able to cover it. These two teams allowed me to stream what they're doing today. Okay, Random Gamer has clarified that the guest team, which would be DZ in this case, will get to choose the map. And that ZEEK will get to choose the side. So in that case, we're going to re-ask if anyone wants to change their map pick. Or see if DZ wants to stick with steps, and then that way ZEEK would get to pick what side they want to play. Random Gamer getting him squared away with the clarifications in the match chat, so that way everybody knows the rules. Lovely work from the WSL coordinator, Mr. Random Gamer, who is in the chat today. Make sure you tell him thank you for all the work he's done with Calamity. I know he's put in a lot on that tournament. DZ will be able to choose any map from the full Calamity list, aside from the maps that they have banned. But you couldn't ask for a better game than this. Down to the wire, 5-5, almost 3 hours into the stream. Could not ask for a better game than this. And it looks like Hold Down has said that DZ is going to go with Himmelsdorf. Interesting. Interesting. They are going to choose to go with the heavy map. Let's see what side that ZEEK decides to play. It looks like they're going to be playing attack. All right, so the teams are on the correct side. The map has been picked. Tanks are going to start coming up any second now. We are going to see our third round on Himmelsdorf, this time with DZ on defense again. See if they're able to get anything going. Make sure we get the okay from Random Gamer before we start up this next round. It looks like both teams are going to go ahead and start picking up tanks. And we are good. We are cleared. The coordinator has told us that this is now back in regulation. So once these teams pick it up, we are going to be good to go. All right, finishing up tank picks here. We've got a couple coming up on DZ side. 2 Mouse, an E4 and an IS4 so far. Going very, very heavy again. Very DZ fashion. Don't think we're going to see any Object 140s on this map, though it does seem to be their lucky charm. Pulling up a second IS4, keeping that heavy trend going. On the side of ZEEK, we've got Gambit back in that 50B again. Was able to put in some good work on the 2 HIMS rounds with that tank. And Super going to play that E4. Couple more things coming up on the ZEEK side here. We are ever closer to our final tiebreaker game. Very similar lineup to what we did see before when these two teams played each other. Curious to see how DZ is going to change up the strategy because they did lose 1 round on Himmelsdorf to ZEEK earlier. So I would say this is a very even matchup on this map. Two FV215Bs coming on the side of ZEEK. Going to be using that brawling ability. And on the side of DZ, we've got all of our tanks picked, opting to pull in 2 T57 heavies, sticking with that extremely heavy lineup. No 50Bs in sight. And those two things working in tandem on a good push will be devastating. However, ZEEK does also have that 50B, possibly a second one. We haven't seen that 7 tank come up yet. Looks like it is going to be an IS-7, so only 1 clipping tank from the side of ZEEK. Looks like everything is picked up, though, so we are going to head on into round number 11 tiebreaker with DZ on Himmelsdorf defense. All right, on the side of DZ, we've got 2 Mouse, 2 T57 Heavy, 2 IS4, and 1 T110 E4. On the side of ZEEK, we've got an FV2, two FV215Bs, a T110E5, an IS7, an IS4, an AMX50B, and a T110E4. Very similar to what they were doing earlier. Gambit going on the hill alone, everybody else playing the lower side. Exactly like the maneuver we saw earlier today when ZEEK was on attack. Clearing out a couple of the cars. Neo back in the mouse using that little gun. Try to get that line of sight down the 3 line. Exactly what we saw him do earlier. Very, very, very similar outlook to what happened just a couple of games ago. This time ZEEK stacking back up on that corner. With Sin going to be aggressive, try to get those spots in. Nobody in mid really to get a spot on Sin when he's playing that forward position. Looks like IS7 is going to be in that window, and we have Pokemon Man on the corner of Banana. 3 ZEEK tanks still stacked up at the K6 position. We're going to see them rotate out any minute now. Looks like Super's going to be the first one to go across yet again, followed by the 2 heavy tanks. They're going to be going for another 1-line push. Mouse does get spotted. Does spot the T110E5 played by Sin in return. He's going to play that corner. Choosing to rotate out. Here comes the push across tracks from ZEEK. They may play that corner for a little bit longer before they get more information. It does look like DZ is kind of expecting a little bit of a track play. Once they spot a couple more of these tanks, they're going to realize something is desperately wrong on the A cap. Sin now playing a very forward position. He was able to get all the way to E3 without getting detected. Now Neo trying to clear out a little more debris so he's able to get those spots if they do start running down the 1 line. And he does get spotted by Neo. Big hit there from Sin into Neo. Not able to get one in return on Sin. So he's going to be patient, wait for that Cupola to come around the corner. It's going to be kind of a rough hit though. Another big hit from Sin. Nothing in return from Neo. He's taking these shots and not able to get much in return. That hit point advantage is slowly leaving the side of DZ. Looks like the push from ZEEK is about to happen, or at least they're playing a little more aggressive. Here come the 2 heavy tanks. Gonna group up with the E4. Leaky Shelf and Matisse still playing over on the B cap, along with back support from Dark Blizzard, who seems to be joining the 2 other heavies on the B cap. Red Dog does get spotted trying to go down the 1 line. Good clearance there from the mouse. T57 heavy not able to get a shot in. Misses his second right into the tracks. One thing the IS7 is good for is absorbing 1,000,000 rounds into the side of it with that spaced armor. The way it's angled in those tracks, taking so many hits. Red Dog now in a pretty aggressive position onto the base. Hopefully going to be able to get some base pressure put on any second now. Neo down to 1,510 hit points, but they were able to get a little bit of a return onto Sin. It's going to be an unfortunate pin into Shifty. Nothing in return from him. Red Dog in a fairly good position. Big hit on the E4 there. He does get lit. He takes 2 in return. Out in the open. 1 from Sin and 1 from the Killing Tank, and the FV215B playing in the back at G3. Hit points still in DZ's favor. Now evened up. We do have A pressure in from Red Dog. However, they're not able to get this banana push in because they got 2 tanks from ZEEK blocking that banana side reset. So it's going to be a rough time for DZ as these 2 ZEEK players are going to hold them back. Looks like Sin is going to rotate back to the gap, but he's going to be in trouble if he tries to push around that corner with Dark Blizzard there. Does get a good pin. T57 heavy is going to be able to clean up Sim, but does take 2 in return for it, 3 in return for it. Gambit putting in great work on the hill as he got a little over aggressive there. Does get tracked. Will he get finished by Pokemon Man? No, he lives it. Now we have Shifty being aggressive towards the IS-7 on base. He is backed up by the T110E4 played by Super. This could be a nasty hit into Shifty, and he takes it. 901 damage. What a roll. Is going to get the reset along with Dark Blizzard, but oh, wonderful shots into the IS-7. Big hit from the E4. 860 roll. Does take him out. DZ at a slight hit point disadvantage. Getting hit a little bit by, let's see, who's a Gambit on the hill? Stewie's still alive at a one-shot killing tank. Does get set on fire, and that's a huge fire. Bringing that hit point difference down just a little bit more, bringing him down to a one-shot as well. Hit points are in Zeke's favor. Looks like we are going to get a push out onto Leaky here. But if he is able to get Attempted Wolf out, not the end of the world. Instead he shoots Pokemon Man, who's blocking Attempted Wolf, which does make sense. Pokemon Man is going to go down. Attempted Wolf left at a one-shot. Is Leaky going to be able to clean him up? Gambit still at nearly full health on the hill. Super playing in the G2 position, pushing towards Cap. Also still nearly full health. Is going to be able to clean up Neo if he's not careful. And it looks like he's not aware of this E4 coming around the back of him. Low roll, though. That 10% damage reduction is paying off. And now Hold Down is going to push up towards Super. And that's going to be a rough experience for Super unless Killing Tank is able to get this shot off. And he does. Super going down to 90 hit points. Very even game again. T57 Heavy coming in to support the IS-4. If they can get Attempted Wolf out, oh, that's going to be huge. Gambit is an autoloader, though. Is able to pick up a couple of kills in one clip, but this is the closest you can ask for. What a even game. DZ with the advantage, then Zeke. Now back a little bit in DZ's favor, but fairly even. What a close game and what a close finale. Summing up these beautiful games we've been seeing today. Big hit from Hold Down on a Super. Is not able to get a shot in return, so Hold Down is going to preserve the 1,200 hit points. Gambit pushing towards B-Cap. Will get spotted here. Is probably going to be able to take him out if he doesn't bounce. But I believe he's actually playing a decent position. Stewie Bulb ready for Gambit to come around that corner. And he does. And that's it. Gambit is out of here. Now we just have the Killing Tank left at a one-shot. He is spotted. It looks like Hold Down is going to be chasing him down. Stewie Bulb and Leaky Shelf looking to finish 3 versus 1. Hold Down with relatively high hit points, and that's it.
Let's get out of here.
That's going to be a win for DZ. Let's go to that final scoreboard. What an even game. On the side of Zeke, we've got Attempted Wolf in the FV215B with 1 kill, 3,742 damage. Super in the T110E4, 2 kills, 3,345 damage. Pokemon Man in the IS-4, 0 kills, 2,289 damage. Gambit in the AMX-50B, 0 kills, 2,166 damage. Sin in the T110E5, 0 kills, 1,980 damage. The Killing Tank in the FV215B, 1 kill, 1,239 damage. And Red Dog in the IS-7, 0 kills, 1,023 damage. And on the side of DZ, we've got Hold Down in the E4, 3 kills, 5,099 damage. Great game from him. Getting those kills where it counted. Neo Beater in the Mouse with 0 kills, 2,770 damage. Stewie Bulb in the T57 Heavy, 3 kills, 2,714 damage. Matisse in the Mouse, 0 kills, 2,667 damage. Leaky Shelf in the IS-4, 0 kills, 1,620 damage. Dark Blizzard in the IS-4, 0 kills, 1,214 damage. And Shifty in the T57 Heavy with 1 kill, 316 damage. What even games that we've seen today. Teams trading games back and forth. DZ with that 5-3 advantage. Zeke able to bring it back, force it to a tiebreaker. And then one of the closest games that I've seen with a DZ win in the final round, game 11. That does mean that DZ will be moving on past the semifinals of Season 6 Calamity. I would like to thank both of these teams for coming in and showing and giving it their all today. Thank you to everyone who watched the stream, no matter how long it was, even if it wasn't for the full 3 hours. If you do want to catch these games, make sure to follow and get those notifications turned on. Thank you to all the coordinators who put in all the work on Calamity this season. Had a wonderful tournament so far, and some more good games to come. All right, with that being said, I'm going to send DZ off to the victory screen. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.